All right, what's up?
All right, welcome to another episode of Help with Natalie Cuomo. I am so excited. This week's guest, I have the amazing Onika McLean. How are you?
I'm wonderful. What's up, Nat? How you doing?
I am so good now. We started comedy together.
Yes, we did, right? Just running around these comedy streets trying to figure it out.
We've come such a long way.
Yeah. That's what comedy does, right? She just like takes you where you want to, and just like, you're like, what?
So Onika is an amazing comedian. She's been so busy. What's been going on with you? What's new with you? What's happening?
Everything at one time, like the clubs of sending me avails all at one time. People that I'm like that I stalk on social media, all of a sudden now they're like, "Hey, Onika, how are you?" I'm like, "I've been here the whole time, but I'm fine. Hi." It's dope. And I'm working at the stand a lot, which has been tremendous in my opinion, because I've been able to meet such amazing comedians with so many different styles and stuff and so many different levels. It's just been like really good. I don't have anything to complain about as it relates to comedy. And we can complain as comedians.
We most certainly can. I'm really happy to hear that. That's awesome. Do you have any projects in the works? How was your quarantine?
Oh, so my quarantine, I was doing like a bunch of renovations and stuff and projects. I'm going to be at Caroline's on September 1st. So that's dope. I opened up for Michael Che last week, Tuesday. That was dope.
Congrats.
And for Tiffany Haddish when I was in LA, shout out to Chris Spencer. It's just been an amazing time.
I am so proud to know you. I am so excited for you. Like I have goosebumps. I've been getting goosebumps for people. Like I've been getting goosebumps for people. I am so excited for you. That is amazing.
That means you're becoming even more empathetic. You know that, right? It may be like an empath a little bit if you're getting goosebumps for everybody else. That's dope.
Maybe I'm just cold. Well, that's awesome.
What's going on with you?
Trying to launch this new podcast, performing a lot as much as I can. And I guess one of the things that I want to ask you for advice about, and one of the things that I love about you and what really made me like, think of you for this is you sent me a message that really honestly it touched my heart. You sent me a nice message. And it's funny because people don't necessarily think anything of this, but when you sent me a nice DM and it really it touched me, it made me feel so happy. Oh, and nice. Just that you were supportive. And I guess, this week I kind of want to talk about like finding your community as an adult, finding meaningful friendships as an adult. Like everyone kind of says you're lucky if you have, enough friends that you can count on one hand as an adult. Like, how do you feel about that? What's your take on all of that?
Well, I feel like, and I think that it came with age. I feel like you get back what you give out. So if you give love and support and appreciation, it kind of comes right back to you. And I know being a woman in this industry is extremely hard for me. And I'm an older woman. So I could just imagine a younger woman trying to figure it out with all those things that's going on in our heads. You're not good enough. This is not funny. Who you think you are to think that you can do it? Like all the insecurities that I have. I know that you have those same insecurities, if not more, because, I've lived a little bit longer. So if I could give some love to, especially a female comedian, particularly, yes, a female comedian, because I feel like guys kind of support each other. But when I see a female trying and she's kind of like standing out there alone, I want her to know, like, I got your back. And I feel like that's what that DM was about. Just you had this banging ass picture and you were in Ink magazine or some magazine with tattoos. And I was like, go, I did open mics with her. That's right, bitch, do it. And so finding your tribe, I feel like just finding you and then your tribe will show up, right? Because as soon as you start finding that still voice inside of you, it's like, it's okay. You can mess up. It's okay. Everybody, that acceptance, that self-acceptance, then you'll start to develop. You'll see that people around you will be more receptive and accepting. It's an inner work. And once you start like really figuring out that inner work, your tribe will show up.
What was that process of doing that work like for you? Because I feel like, you know, everyone talks about like working on yourself and like becoming a better person, but it's so vague. Like what is the actual process like? I know it varies person to person.
Well, I've been meditating first therapy, a bunch of therapy, and then meditation and prayer and supplication, that kind of stuff. I just started working on myself because I was sad, I was depressed, I was dealing with a bunch of anxiety, especially like trying to juggle. And I just started going inside and just sitting with my ugliness because I would be ugly. And I was like, I got to get better for me. And I just started doing it. So I was reading this book, it's called The Artist's Way. And it talked about journaling 3 pages a day for any artist. You need to get the craziness out your head and onto the paper. So that's what I've been doing. And I feel like it's opened up my career. Like I check my email and it's always some new opportunity that I ain't even asked for, but it's because I'm working on myself.
Do you find there's like a specific time of the day to journal? Do you journal in the morning? Do you journal before bed? Like when is the best time for you?
As soon as I wake up, because my brain goes crazy. I have like ADD a little bit. So if I don't catch it, then I'm cleaning up, I'm doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And then the whole day I'm trying to figure out why didn't I do it or trying to squeeze it in. So I try to do it right before anything starts.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel like journaling is like the biggest, that self-reflection from journaling, like kind of like purging yourself of all of the neuroses, so to speak, is like what helps you get ready for the day?
Yeah, well, it gets yesterday out of my brain. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you wake up and you're like, and then that bitch said this. You're like, what? You're like, that happened 26 hours. You know, so it's just getting it out. It's a free writing. So even if I say, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, or I'm grateful, whatever it is, I don't put any judgment on it. I just pen to paper, and it's hard that first page because but then it's like any workout, once you get past the initial burn of it's a sweet spot. And so that's why the 3 pages like really matter.
I haven't written in so long. I think my hand's gonna hurt. Like this is
No, you got to do it though.
I mean, I write on my phone and like on my computer, but I feel like it's important that it's a handwritten thing, right?
It is. Yep. It's important that it's handwritten. And then I come up with jokes. Because what happens is you freely start to write, and then you're like, oh, look at that concept, or look at that premise. And it just opens you up. It does. I'm telling you, like,
what do you feel is like different between, because I know it's significantly different, but how do you feel like writing out, you know, these 3 pages in the morning would be different than say having a therapist that you talk to in the morning every day for 20 minutes? Like, how do you feel like that's different?
Well, the therapist has an input, right? And so, which means you're going to be saying things to evoke some kind of emotion from the therapist, whether it's empathy, sympathy, whatever it is. But writing, it's nobody. This is just you. So all your thoughts need to go somewhere. And in meditation, you're supposed to just let your thoughts go by, right? You're supposed to not hold on to anything. But in writing, you get to say, fuck these people. I'm sick of this shit. You know, you get to get it out your brain. And then you look and you're like, well, I didn't even know I felt like that.
Right. Yeah. I like that a lot. I mean, I feel like as someone that overthinks things, I think that's like overthinking is the bane of my existence. Like I just can't get things out of my head. I can't stop overanalyzing situations. Do you feel like it's helpful for that?
Yes. Yes. Because what will end up happening is you'll end up writing the same things over and over again. Right. And then you're like, well, what? So then it'll make you like think about, well, why do I feel like that? Why why is this a thing? And I feel like over analyzing is truly, I think everybody does it, but it's truly a woman thing. Like, because we're so critical. If you're over analyzing things, you're over analyzing you too.
Right. Right. And you're also assuming that the way you view other people, you're assuming other people are viewing you that way too. So like the more I'm self-critical, the more I'm critical of the people around me, the more I'm assuming they're being critical of me.
Yes. And then you act weird.
Yeah.
Right? That's the other part. Then you start to act weird and you're like, my other journal the other morning, it was like, why was I acting so weird like that? Like, what was that about? But in my brain, I was like, I was having imposter syndrome. I was like, you don't belong there. How is this all happening? This is a fake. And then I was like, okay, but that is a thing. That's a thing that's not true. And it's from my ego to isolate me a little bit. And once you write it, you're like, oh, well, that's not even true. But if I left it in my head, it would just keep on going.
Right. Do you
and then
feel-
you don't open, I'm sorry, and then you don't open yourself up, right? So because if I like walked into a room and I was like, oh shit, Natalie, what's up? And I hugged you, you're like, oh my God, I didn't even think she liked me. Right. You know what I mean? Because everyone's so closed off, especially as an entertainer. We have to manage all those emotions all the time and then try to evoke laughter from people. Every night, I have to make you laugh every night, whether I feel like it or not. That's a lot of work. That's a hard job.
Multiple times a night.
Multiple nights, I have to make you laugh. And if I don't make you laugh, I feel like a piece of shit. Like, golly. Like, think about that. The emotions that we take ourselves on, the highs and lows that we take ourselves on nightly.
It's so true. The journey of having a good set and the journey of having a bad set, the journey of having a meh set, like it's such, I mean, there's something chemical that happens in your brain 100% when either of those three things happen, because it's a very extreme experience, like how do you personally deal with walking away from a set and not being satisfied with the work that you've done or the response that you've gotten?
I beat myself up.
Yeah.
I beat myself up that whole day until I journal again normally. Because once I get to the journaling, I'm like, so what did I learn? What was off? What did I do? Right. And then I like nothing. Like, could I have done something differently? Maybe. And that's why you have a bad set, so that you can see where your cracks are. It's so important. Mm-hmm. It's so important to fail. But we just do it nightly. And then the other day I did Caroline's, and I've done Caroline's before, like earlier in my career. And my heart was beating so fast. I didn't even, I was so damn scared. But instead of journaling that morning, because my whole day just got crazy because I was so elated about what was going to happen that evening, I journaled in the club. I just started writing. And I wrote my 3 pages in the back of the club. Like, God, I don't know why I'm so upset. Please get these nerves out. Please get nerves out. I just want to have a good set. I just want opportunities to come through this. Blah, blah, blah. And I went on the stage and I killed it. And it was very, and most comedians say I had fun, or right, because you don't want to say you kill something. I get it, because it seems like a pompous. But what happened is, normally when I have really big opportunities, I choke. And you've seen me perform. But when it's a big opportunity, I don't go as hard on the joke. I'm never satisfied, because I don't go, I let my fear stifle me, and I didn't let it happen this time.
That's amazing. I actually just, it's funny that you're saying this, because I just had a conversation. So I know she's a good friend, Mallory. I know she's a good friend of yours. And we had I saw her last week, and she said something about you, how you made her feel better and inspired her about comedy. And we were talking about it, and we started talking about like fear and and raising the stakes and like where fear comes from. And I was kind of saying to her a similar thing of like, I feel like I kill it on shows where they don't matter. But if I think that they matter, all of a sudden, like I'm not my best self. I'm talking in like my comic voice. I'm not talking like Natalie. I'm talking like I'm just like reciting my jokes because I'm so nervous. And she sent me like this quote about fear and how fear comes from thinking you have something to lose. And it's definitely like relates directly to what you're saying, because you feel that the stakes are so high when it's a big opportunity, you know?
Yeah. And is it a big opportunity? You know what I'm saying? Like someone said to me, because I shared the same thing to and wait, shout out to Mallory Bryant, because I love her.
I love her too.
And so, and you know what it is? She the same thing, giving good. Like me and Mallory came up together and she was like feeling away. And I was like, let's pray. You know what I'm saying? Like this, we're responsible for the laughter. That's a lot. We're responsible for the laughter in the world. It's a lot responsibility. But so I was sharing with somebody, you know, about when it's a big opportunity, how I feel a way about it. And they said, I want to say Rumi, I'm not sure, but he said that if you make one moment bigger than the other moment, you're disrespectful to all the moments. There's no bigger moment. The moment right now is most important. And we put like, if life is in picture frames, we take this frame and make it like with glitter and, you know, rhinestones and all of it, but it's not. It's just a regular ass frame. It's the frame in your life, and you making it bigger for no reason, because it shouldn't be.
Every single time that I've thought a show is a big deal, I have walked off stage and been like, well, that didn't matter. Like no show has ever mattered. No single show has mattered. A culmination of shows, sure, but no one particular show has ever fucking mattered.
Yeah. But you know what does matter? The person you become while you're doing this work. The person you become. Because before, if you talked to me a couple years ago, I would be like, these people, I'm so much talented. They're hating on it, just dumb, like just all ego. And then something about comedy just like slows down your ego. And we're like, we are a tribe of people responsible for the laughter. Musicians are responsible for the music. You know, whatever your passion is, artist, you're responsible for the beauty. If you're like, whatever it is you're doing, it's a tribe of y'all that are responsible for that. And you're just a member.
I love that. I love that. And I feel like, you know, it's so unifying. And that's what I really wish that more people embrace that unity between all comedians, that like, regardless of your type of humor, regardless of who you are, like we're literally, if you are a true comedian, and if what you are is just, if you are a comedian at heart, if that's really what you are, you just are, you're trying to make people laugh, you know?
It's a tribe. It is a tribe. And we know the vulnerabilities of each other, right? And then if we make it, right? If you make it, you want to make it with people you like. You want to be a situation you're like, yo, Nat, I got this opportunity. You want to write with it? You want to write? Because I know you're cool. You know what I'm saying? Because I know it'll be a good time. I don't want to have to be all like, I can't stand this bitch. I don't even like her jokes. Because you know, jokes, the symmetry needs to work so that it can keep on like building.
Right.
You've been at a hang and everybody's like ripping on each other, and then it just like, it's the best time ever because
yeah. And there's
a
comfort level that you get to with a group of people as well, where you're able to build like that, because it's not just like, you could be the funniest person in the world and walk into a group of friends, and you know, it takes a level of, there's crowd work, and then there's like actually hanging out and being able to collaborate with people, and that's a relationship that you build over time.
Yeah, over time. It's true, because I used to like, you know, the in crowd or whatever. And I'm old, so it's weird to try to like get in, you know, older and to get in. And then I thought about it, and I was like, well, if you think about it, some of these people have been friends with each other for 10 years. 10 years. So they've been friends with each other for that long time. Like it takes time to, cultivate relationships.
Yeah.
Period.
It's funny. There really is nothing that replaces time. And one of the things that I love about comedy is that it doesn't lie. Like the time that you've put in it shows in your work. And that is so special and important to me because if you put the time in, it will come out the other side, and having the trust in your work. It's one of the only things that I can hold on to sometimes, just knowing like, all right, I'm putting the work in, I'm writing, I'm getting on stage. It's the only thing I can objectively hold on to right now, because you can make people laugh, but when you walk away, all you have is knowing the work that you've done.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's true. You can make people, and you know what it is? It's like, I remember, and I feel like a lot of comedians like that, 2 years in, 3 years in, they're like, I'm ready for big time. Like, maybe not.
Right.
You don't have any act outs yet. Maybe, like some people just hit it quick and it is what it is. But some people have to go through the journey. And I thought that I was going to cut the line. I was like, oh, I'm gonna cut the line because but it's not even about cutting the line. Actually, I like comedians. I like hanging out with comedians. I like comedians. I just do. I get it.
I take pride in the fact that I haven't cut the line. Like I take pride in the way that I've busted my ass. And I feel like it's added to my confidence as a comic that I have the things that I have done, the shows that I've driven to that absolutely sucked, and the way that I've like worn my heart on my sleeve, the times I've bombed so badly that I've just felt more embarrassed than if I like shit myself in public. Like those are the things that make me feel confident because I fell on my face, and that's like what makes you learn.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. My sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now. Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Hello?
Hi.
Okay, cool. So I have like a Bluetooth speaker in my bathroom and somebody must have turned it on because then your voice went in the bathroom. Sorry.
No worries. Someone was listening to me in the bathroom.
Yeah, my mom probably.
Hi, Mom.
We all have our trauma.
Yeah, we do. What are your goals moving forward with comedy? Like what's your dream?
I'm gonna write a sitcom. I'm writing it like kind of now. And I'm gonna star in it. And I'm gonna do drama. I want to do a lot of television. Like I've always wanted to be on television. I want comedy specials and all that kind of stuff. I just want to follow however comedy takes me. I don't want to be doing the same exact thing this time 5 years from now. I want to have a different experience. And I do want to move to LA and work that out.
That's all. Did you like LA? Did you like LA better than New York?
Not better, but it was just, it seemed more welcoming.
Huh.
It seemed more welcoming. Like I didn't feel the need, like in New York, you need to prove yourself before people even acknowledge that you exist, which is so crazy. Like I'm a human being, right? But and that's mainstream in New York because urban is not like that in New York. But in California, but I did have some connects out there, so it was just so welcoming and dope. I just liked the vibe. I was alone in a couple spaces and I didn't feel alone. But in New York, if you go out by yourself, you feel like you're by yourself.
Yes.
feel like anybody's up. So I really liked it. Not that I like it better. It's just a different vibe. And I grew up in New York.
Right.
So did you. And so it's a different kind of experience. I feel like there should be like a little coalition with New York comics that's from New York, because most comics are not from New York. And so they don't really have the New York experience, but they get good here, right? And they get good here because of the toughness of the New Yorker. And then what I find is those are the comedians that really thrive, not the New York comedians. You know what I mean? So
it's interesting. I do feel like New York is such a good place for comedians to grow. It's like the best place to become good at your craft. You know, like there's something about the scene here that really pushes you to write, pushes you to get on stage all the time. You definitely see, like, I do believe that people, the comics in New York are incredible. But it is interesting that difference between there are not that many people that are actually from New York doing comedy in New York. And like, I definitely have a pride associated with, like, that toughness for me goes back to when I was born in the hospital in Manhattan. I mean, like
right.
That's like it's if you're doing comedy, you're fucked up in some way, but,
right.
Everyone's it's funny because when people live in New York for a certain amount of time, they're like, I'm a New Yorker. And it's like, no.
But even if you are, it's kind of like, it's weird. Like you said, so many people that do comedy are not from New York. I know Carrie Cordet is from New York. I'm talking about mainstream comics. Like, but I don't know a lot. Like, you're from New York. I'm from New York. Yeah, I'm just thinking about people. Most of them are not New Yorkers. And so,
or they're from like the outer boroughs in some way.
Outer boroughs.
Like I'm talking Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island, the Bronx. So if anyone's listening and they're like, oh, but I'm from New York, I'm talking right, New York.
And if you are, we're just not thinking of you, and no disrespect at all. But it's just like kind of because I can tell a DC comic.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell a comic from St. Louis. I can tell a comic from Chicago. It's a style that they have.
It is a style.
But it's like in New York, where's the style that's authentically New York? I mean, maybe it's hip hop. I mean, but I don't know.
I feel like I've noticed, I lived in LA for a year, and I noticed, like, I can compare the LA and New York styles pretty well. I feel like the thing that's a very New York thing, and I'm guilty of doing this, is the two hands on the mic, like this, like what standing with just two hands on the mic, and kind of like, I feel like people in New York are used to standing on smaller stages. So they're used to taking up a little less room on stage. Like, I feel like people in New York, they're performing in alleyways, they're performing in trucks and basements. So they're just like, they kind of make themselves a little bit small. And then it's like quick, well-written jokes. Whereas I feel like in LA, and I'm not saying this applies for everything, in LA, I felt like people explored their stage presence a little more. There was like a little more comfortability and storytelling in terms of style. And again, don't know what I'm talking about. This is literally just like my observation, but I felt the body language in comedy was significantly different in New York versus LA.
Really? I feel like New Yorkers maybe, I'm not sure. I don't want to speak on that because I'm not sure. I feel like New Yorkers talk with their hands more. And when you said that, I'm trying to think, but I take the mic out the stand, but I'm animated, right? So
you are very animated.
I'm all over the place anyway, because I'm a goddamn crazy person. So like, but I get it when you mean like New Yorkers will just stand and deliver. It's like, yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying.
Like LA, I feel like people, they're like using the stage, they're like walking around. They're like, let me see what this corner of the stage is like. Let me see what this corner of the stage is like. And I feel like New York, a lot of the times the comic will just stand there. And I feel like that too. Sometimes I feel frozen. And when I am comfortable enough on stage to actually explore the stage, I feel good. You know?
That's your best sets, right? Because you're in the moment, right? I
Right.
try to pace on purpose though.
Huh. How
Because
come?
I used to didn't, right? And so I would just be like this. And I would pace on purpose. And I'm pacing on purpose because I'm getting the rhythm. Yeah.
Interesting. What do
Even
you
if I don't
mean?
feel it, I would just start moving around because it's not just the joke. Sometimes it's just the energy of the space. So if I got space to move around, I will. And I always try to remember, oftentimes those mics are wireless. And if they're wireless, why am I standing on stage? I could go in the audience. And if I could go in the audience, then now we're really having a conversation. Because don't like I've been on shows, I'm not sure about you, but I've been on shows and then I just did my thing, somebody else did their thing. And then the guy, and it's normally a guy that has the bravado to go talk to people in the audience. You're like, I could have done that. God damn it. Look at this set. You know, and it's amazing because they feel like they're part of the group.
Right. Right. Another thing, that I'm interested to talk to you about, one thing that I'm struggling with, and I feel like I'm in the in-between phase with as a comic is like, so I feel like half of the time when I'm doing a set and I talk like I can't help but talk in this way that's not the way that I talk. Like I'm delivering my jokes, I guess subconsciously the way I think these jokes are supposed to be delivered and not the way that I speak. And when I'm really comfortable on stage, I'm delivering them the way that I speak, but maybe like a set that I feel like there's any sort of pressure that I care about, or if I'm in a specific mood, I start to go back into this like comic voice. And I really am working towards like making sure that it's my voice on stage and that it's like, it's just me talking. And I think a lot of people do this and struggle with this. I want my voice on stage to be the same as my voice right now. So how do you deal with that? Have you ever struggled with that?
Heck yeah. So it's like a dog finding its bark.
Mm.
You know how they yelp at first, and then eventually they be like, ruff, and they be like, oh shit, wait, that was me. And then they start barking, and the more you bark, right?
Yeah.
The more you like, oh yeah, that's how I sound. I
Right.
think that all comedians, I think it's just gonna take time. You're gonna have to give yourself, like, don't rush your career and don't rush your bark. I think that that's what it is, because I used to sound like this on stage, and then I was walking down the street, I would be at work. It would be my work voice.
Right.
And that's my work voice. And I wasn't comfortable. And I'm telling the jokes and I'm like, oh, and a woman of my stature, that's not my voice. Like my voice is in between that lady and the ghetto hood girl, right there in the middle. That's my voice.
Right.
And once I started realizing, but it's just like the Yelp. You saying, that's not even who I am. Jesus, ridiculous. But you got to keep doing it until you get sick of yourself.
Yeah.
And then once you get sick of yourself, then you just like, it just comes out.
It's so funny because it's like I was trying to get a tape a couple days ago, and it's like halfway through the set, I was like, fuck it, this isn't the tape. And I just like let go, and I had so much more fun. And I was like, oh, the second half was amazing. But then I went back and I watched my set because I had the tape, and I was like, okay, the first half was better. So I don't know, but I actually don't know. It's just like, it's weird. There's that. And then there's also like, I feel like sometimes I worry that if I try to be myself more and like have my voice, then maybe I'm like going too far away from the actual structure of my jokes that I wrote. Like I still want to be true to the words that I wrote. I still want to be true to this, like the music of the joke that I wrote, but I also want to be in my voice. Like, again, I'm overthinking things, but like, do you know what I'm saying?
I think I know what you're saying. I'm gonna repeat it.
Okay.
Right. So you're saying that you want to trust what you wrote and recite, but you feel like it's somebody else that wrote it. So now you're being somebody else. Is that what's happening?
No, it's like, I feel like when I say a joke, that it sounds like I'm saying a joke that I wrote, because that's what I'm doing on stage. I'm performing my joke. But if I were to talk like myself, maybe I would be giving up kind of like the musicality that I committed to in this particular way that I've been saying this joke, if that makes sense. Like I've always said this joke this way. It works this way. I feel good about the structure and the beats that I'm taking and the rhythm of this joke, but it's not necessarily the way that I speak. So what am I sacrificing in the joke to talk the way that I speak, to say it in the way that I speak? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't know if this is making sense.
But so if you think about it, right, when someone's telling their joke that's written, you can tell their cadences are different, right? And when you're doing crowd work, that's a different cadence, right? It's faster normally, it's more improv, right?
Right.
So the structure is like you have a script and then it's improv. But the more you do it, the more those things will be married into they're interwoven. So you don't have to forsake your music in order to come through. It's kind of like, here's the lyrics, and then the improv is the hook. And then here's the lyrics, and then the improv is the hook. It's more of that. But it's still, you have to just give yourself time to do it. And be gentle with yourself, because the more hypercritical you are, the more time it will take in order to find the rhythm. Right. That makes sense? Yeah. Yeah. You just gotta give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace and mercy. Just it's fine. Because even if you like, I do this joke, my gangster rapper joke. Have you heard that joke before? And I normally say it like, my mother was a crackhead. I've never smoked crack a day in my life. These are my real teeth. And then one day I was really comfortable and I was just talking and I said, she didn't know her dad. I said it first. What do you mean? And then I did this whole bit about my ex-husband. And then I brought it back in and I said, and then she said, my mother was a crackhead. And the joke took on a whole nother life. So sometimes you got to move it around because you got to see what works better. Right. Sometimes that lyric worked when you were that woman. Right. Because once you write the joke and now you're not living that truth anymore, now it's just the joke. Right. Right. Yeah. I love that. I love this. Yeah, you just got to let it move around. You got to move it around. It's kind of like swishing wine around in your mouth. It's like if you take time to savor and experience what it is, sometimes it will surprise you. Right. Yeah. I like that. It's like you have to kind of loosen it up so that it can fall into the right place. Because then, sometimes we're like, I forgot that tag. I didn't do that tag. I didn't say that part. Right. Sometimes the room didn't need that. That's why you didn't say it. Because if the room needed it, it would happen. Right. It's so fun. I mean, it's so funny. Another thing is that like us as comedians, we take our sets so seriously, and like the audience is literally just like not overthinking anything that we're saying, maybe not going to remember. I mean, hopefully they remember you, but like it's that to them, it's just, they watched you for 10 minutes or however long you're doing. And like, it's so funny how seriously we take our craft and ourselves versus the way that we're received. It's like, it's funny. Right. It is. And we put so much pressure on ourselves, and they're just like, I didn't write the joke. I have no idea that you missed 3 tags. Right. They're like, I don't even know. What are you talking about? This is like, this made me laugh, lady. Thank you. They can't tell that this isn't the response you're used to getting. They don't know that you didn't. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's true. And we were like, that normally hits. And they're like, what? Right. It's not hitting in this moment, miss. Do you have a specific thing you do right before you get on stage? Pray and drink water. Are you sober? What you mean? Like, do I ever get drunk and stuff? Yeah, no, I get drunk. Okay. Sorry. I am not sober, but yeah, but I try not to overindulge in anything, like everything in moderation. Yes. Yeah. It's hard. I have such an addictive personality. Like everything
I'm all or nothing. I'm either absolutely in love with you or I don't give a fuck about you. It's like
Yeah. Wait, when's your birthday?
December 17th. I'm a Sagittarius. What
Oh,
about
yeah,
you?
I'm October 1st. I'm a Libra. But that's how
Ah,
Sagittarius are. They say, what do they say about Sagittarius is they said they'll tell you, they'll be like, you keep messing with me, I'm gonna burn the house down. And then, and then they burn the house down. They're like, why are you crying? Because you burned the house down. I'm like, but I told you that I was gonna do it.
I gave you a warning, bitch.
I told you that's what I was gonna do. I know me. Yeah, one of my best friends is Sagittarius. Great advice. She gives great advice. She doesn't take any of her good advice, but she goes, when I need what should I do? Well, listen, you need to do this, this, and this, because that's kind of dumb and blah, blah. And I'm like, you're right. And then I go about my way. But she doesn't take the same advice. She'll take her advice.
It's hard. Sometimes it's very hard to take your own advice.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Sometimes
but it's so sound. Like, I'm like, you've thought this through. Like, why are you not doing the same thing for you?
sometimes I'm like, I have to imagine that I am like when I'm wondering what to do about something, I have to imagine that I'm wondering what to do about what I would tell a friend, because I just wouldn't, I don't for some reason take my own advice, and I have to imagine that like I'm giving the advice to a friend.
Right. And then talk yourself down, do that way.
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, Onika, thank you so much for coming on my podcast. This was such a great conversation.
It was, sister friend. It was.
Where can people find you? What do you want to promote? Let them hear it.
I am Onika, Onika comedy on Instagram. I just finished some cooking shows with Condé Nast through this Epicurious. So that's out. You can find that on YouTube, and you can find that on like the Cooking Network. And it's really funny. So I'm doing like cooking, but I'm being like my crazy self. I'm just all around the city. Just look out for my name. You're going to hear it a lot.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for coming on.
All right. Thank you so much, darling.
Wow.
I'll see you in the clubs.
Yes.